shoot, if you show me 3 that are mind-blowingly professional quality work of a veteran or somebody that's been in the industry for a few years, 4 years, and you're a kid straight out of school with 3 of those quality of pieces, I would definitely throw you in the call this guy file. Absolutely.
We are back once again. This is, of course, the Pencil Kings podcast, where we talk to artists and get their stories and find out what their journey has been like. And today I'm excited to talk to Brandon Martynowicz. Really excited to talk to Brandon today because he's now working at a company that I used to do some work with. He's pretty much done everything: film, games, cinematic stuff, in-game assets as well, concept art, pretty much the whole gamut.
Why don't you just give the listeners the 1-minute overview in your own words of some of the different things that you've done? Because it's actually quite rare. People do jump, but you've been in a lot of different areas at a very high level, and I think it's really impressive.
Oh, well, glad that it sounds impressive. Yeah, I have. I've quite the jump around. In terms of environment art, that's kind of where my realm stays. I don't really dabble in characters too much, but after graduating art school, I popped over into the game side of things over at LucasArts and was environment artist there for about 2.5 years, and then over to film. And lucky enough, in Image Movers Digital, Robert Zemeckis' studio, which is now closed, working under Doug Chang. And thankfully, in his art department, I got put under the wing of Chris Stosky, who is, in my opinion, one of the best matte painters that's ever walked this earth. And he kind of took me under and showed me the ropes. And I absolutely loved it and embraced everything that he taught me that I learned in that crew, and did a couple films there. And then sadly that studio shut down, went over to Blizzard on their matte painting department for their cinematics. Worked on Diablo 3, Mist of Pandora, and Heart of the Swarm cinematics. And after there, I needed to get out of the button knob tweaking, and I was doing a lot of lighting and not a whole lot of art making, so jumped back into games and over to Treyarch, did a little Black Ops 2 action as an environment artist, mostly modeling props and a lot of world textures. From there, I got a little teaching under my belt back to Otis, where I went to school and taught an advanced game art class, which was very fun and interesting. And then I got picked up as a lead artist for a small studio called Giant Sparrow under Sony Santa Monica's belt. We're doing a small little indie project called What Remains of Edith Finch. That's where I'm at now.
Awesome. It's pretty cool to me that you hit LucasArts right out of the gate. Did I get it correct? LucasArts and not Lucasfilm?
It was LucasArts, yeah, which is now no longer. And I did, yeah. You know what? It's all about who you know. Gilbert Martinez was an environment artist that was at LucasArts for 1 year before I started, and he was actually an Otis grad as well. And me and my buddy Mike Lee is one of the absolute greatest concept artists I've ever met, and we graduated at the same time, and LucasArts was looking for junior environment artists and concept artists. Gilbert threw them our portfolio and our resumes, and they swooped us up as a package deal. And so me and Mike, we moved out there together, and just absolutely wonderful. It was just one of the best experiences of my life, being able to go straight from school straight into the industry.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And where's home for you? Where's Otis based? I'm not familiar with that school.
Okay, yeah, Otis is right next to LAX, Los Angeles Airport.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, great location. I grew up in Ventura County, which is about an hour north of Otis, so still close to home, and just a stone's throw away, so I can go home and do some laundry and get some grub from the parents.
Awesome. I don't think I've yet interviewed somebody that grew up in LA and then transitioned to the industry there. I imagine it's a huge leg up because obviously you have connections and people know other people, but maybe there's also some downsides to being in LA. What do you think it was like from your standpoint?
The one and only downside of LA is the damn traffic. This place is the absolute worst for traffic. It's the pits, it sucks, but that's about it. Everything else out here is the greatest. The weather, you can't beat it. The industry is just huge. There's everything from film to games to VR stuff. It's endless possibilities out here. And, the art schools out here, the pool of talent, it's quite amazing. And I'm very fortunate to be able to grow up where I grew up and to be able to go to Otis College of Art and Design, and more so with the graduating class that I had. I think it was like a 98% job placement in the digital media program that I went through. And, back it was in 2006 is when I graduated, and economy in the digital world was just booming at the time. And everybody was looking for somebody. A lot of fellow classmates got placed out in visual effects, and the large majority of them went to a lot of the commercial houses out here, Brand New School and Blind and places like that, to do a bunch of commercial visual effects work.
Very cool. We were talking a little bit before we started the actual recording of this episode. I was curious what it's like to work at Blizzard, because, I worked at Activision, and it was under the same umbrella that time, Activision Blizzard, although we didn't have very much to do with Blizzard. It was its own thing. And from my standpoint, Blizzard is, a lot of people look up to Disney and Pixar, but for video games, I kind of feel like Blizzard, at least from the art side, Blizzard is, if not the top, probably the top 3 studios that's producing the highest quality art visuals. And I was always inspired when I was in university by the cinemas that they put out. I think it was Warcraft 3, and they had some very groundbreaking cinemas. I remember it was like an orc in a knight battling with this blowing grass and these leaves flying on the storm clouds.
I remember that too. I remember I was in sophomore year when I saw that cinematic, and it blew my damn mind as well. They definitely are up there for the top of the top in terms of quality and aesthetic, conceptualization, everything, man. I got nothing but high regards for Blizzard. I loved my almost 2 years that I worked there. Everybody, Morheim from the very top, is a personal guy. You can go up and talk to him, and he's cool. All the way down to the testers that were in the building next to us were good people. They hire best of the best over there, and it shows in their product. Unfortunately, with that comes a allotted amount of time per project, much greater than almost any other project that I or anybody has ever worked on. With that extra amount of time, you get into noodling, and you get into noodling to death, in my opinion. And that was the one thing that kind of drove me away from Blizzard, is working on the Diablo 3 cinematic, which was in the works for somewhere around 9 years. And 9 years for 15-minute cinematic it's absolutely ridiculous from a monetary standpoint, in my opinion. It's wonderful and it's fun to see that end product and play the game and look at the cinematics, and you can literally pixel screw every single pixel in that cinematic, and everything is absolutely perfect. But with that comes a enormous price tag, and your artists that are bored to death working on one shot for 6 months. A turnaround shot 6 months at Blizzard is equivalent to, I don't know, a dozen shots at a film studio working on a feature film. And, like I said, Blizzard has that luxury of time because their product is done when the product is done. And it's a great motto. It's a little tough as an artist to work on that, because you want to constantly be doing new stuff and working on new stuff. And while I was there, I did a lot of personal project work. I got some stuff published in magazines and books and stuff while I was there, because I had luxury of time and I needed to drive myself and push myself forward and keep making art, because when I was there in the map painting department, I was primarily just doing a lot of lighting, a lot of rendering, kicking out maps and comps for my map painter next to me to paint on top of, and then I'm reprojecting them and doing a lot of technical stuff and not a whole lot of artistic work.
Gotcha. What was the studio environment like there compared to other places that you worked? I guess where I'm curious, having never been to Blizzard or to Pixar, is if there's something different. Because, we always hear about how awesome it is to work at Google. Mm-hmm. Was there a similar kind of feeling being at Blizzard, or do you say it's more or less like the other studios that you've worked at?
That is a very good question. And it is a little bit more Blizzard-esque, I guess, if you will. They've got their giant orc statue in the middle of the campus. They got a few buildings. Every morning we would walk over. They got a great cafeteria, grab breakfast, and they did a lot of kind of family type events there, and they did treat everybody like a family. I've heard things. I know people that work over at Riot and hear the same thing of this great family environment where they're giving everybody, dinner, and there's an open bar all the time, and good things like that. And Blizzard definitely did have some of that culture, which was great. They got this awesome little museum inside their campus that just showcases some of their greatest work. They got a great little theater where we did our weeklies and, reviewed shots and looked at stuff. It was a very, very cool campus and a cool place to work. And it made you feel, part of something special working there. I mean, like you said, it's not something that you do get at lots of different studios. LucasArts was the same way. That whole Lucasfilm campus up in Presidio, they got just an absolutely amazing digital campus. It really helps the employees feel part of something bigger than just a cubicle at a rented out office.
Yeah, definitely. There's one other question that I want to ask about when you went out of art school and right into LucasArts. Do you feel that there was anything special that you did? Did you consider yourself like a badass when you graduated and you're destined to some kind of greatness? I guess I'm asking for people that are coming out of school because I meet a lot of people like this and they're not really sure where they fit in with the world. There's obviously rock stars, and rock stars will always be treated like rock stars, and it will be very easy for them, but most people aren't rock stars. And so I'm just wondering what it was like for you, because I feel like it's a rare stepping stone.
Sure. Yeah. I never really thought that I was a badass in school, only because there weren't any other real environment artists doing what I was doing in school. So I was kind of on my own, and I had, of course, a wonderful class around me to share ideas and show my renders to and this and that, but I didn't have like another environment artist who was focusing on modeling, texturing, and lighting like I was for my senior thesis. So that kept me nice and humble and kind of grounded, because I was just doing it for myself. And eating, breathing, sleeping, my senior thesis and my school projects and my tutorials and the work that I was doing senior year and the summer before, it was really like the last 2.5, 3 years when I knew that what I wanted to do was environment art and, that type of digital media work. I never, ever, ever looked back or did anything else. I didn't really even play that many games when I was in school, and just got all my hands on every glass tutorial that I could and just soaked up the knowledge and applied it as well as I could. And that's what did it for me. That's really what did it for me, was the passion and the drive to do it as well as I can and to learn as much as I can about it and to bounce ideas off of other students, and everything just kind of fell into my lap after that. It was just a very fortunate situation. Like I said, a friend of mine that had graduated the year before was already working as a junior artist at LucasArts, and threw my name out there because they were looking to hire junior concept artists and environment artists. And, he respected me and he respected my work and threw my name out there and my buddy Mike Lee's name out there. And they looked at our portfolios, and I guess they liked what they saw, and they flew us up for an interview. And how could you not say yes to a job 3 months before you even graduate school? It was just the most fortunate, awesome thing ever. And especially a studio like LucasArts coming out of school it's something that just feels great. It's such a sense of accomplishment and, a little bit of success before you even finish school. It was awesome.
Just when you were telling that story, the word that came to my mind was validation, that, the hard work and the time. And was there any points where you had other people who were doubting you, or were you questioned the path that you were on and you're like, I'm not really sure if this is going to all pan out? Or
no, never, ever. I had nothing but drive and confidence, and I didn't even really have time to stop and, like you're saying, look above the clouds at other options or to see if I'm doing good or not. All I was doing was the most hard, badass work that I can do for me, putting in the most amount of effort in my time at school, and no Facebooking and none of that shit. I saw kids, that's what pissed me off. There's kids that sat in the back corner of the class and were on, it wasn't Facebook because that wasn't around in 2005. It was MySpace. Yeah, they're doing that shit and wasting their time on the computer. And it's $20,000 a freaking semester to go to school, and just pissing away on MySpace all day. It was just the most idiotic thing I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, it kind of drove me to stay away from that and just keep pushing and keep learning and trying and practicing new techniques. And I never looked up. I never did anything but that. And with that came success kind of for free, you know? Yeah, I think that's true with anything. And the passion, if you're so passionate, if you put all your drive and passion and soul into whatever it is that you want to do and whatever it is that you're doing, be it an animator or a concept artist, it will come because you're doing the best that you can humanly do. And with that should come reward almost every time. I don't know. I can't speak for others, but it worked for me.
Yeah, it sounds like there was so much drive, but were you also having fun along the way? Like more something
yeah.
like...
Please don't, I hope I'm not making it sound like it was like balls to the wall studying for SATs. You know, I'm making art over here. I got my headphones on. I drank and partied and had a damn good time. It wasn't nonstop. I had some great roommates who were illustration artists who love to, cut loose and do what kids do in art school. And, we definitely had our fun. We used to go and do life drawing out by Venice Beach Pier at 11 o'clock, and it was nothing but good times.
I have something more, something none of your dry as dust professors and routine-ridden doctors have. Love, devotion, passion.
These days I've been working with some people, and this question keeps coming up and again, and it just popped in my head. But people are working in jobs that they aren't feeling fulfilled by. They want to have a career in the art. And one of the pieces of advice that I give to people is to find artists that inspire you and then reach out to these people, and that not everybody is going to reply back to you, of course, because these people are working and probably very busy, but some people will. And some people do remember how they got started. Like you said, through, often it's a connection that opens, people open doors. It's not necessarily your most badass portfolio that opens doors. Somebody still has to open that gate for you. If somebody contacts you because you've worked on so many high-profile projects, what would catch your eye, or what would you like to see that you would actually take the time to reply back to somebody?
It's a very good question. And, doing a lot of teaching, and actually, I've hired a few freelance contract work for the current project that I'm on. And usually it's younger kids that are out of school. They're more affordable and we're on a small budget for the project I'm on. I look for little technical things here and there that are somewhat hard to explain, but that I know since I do them so damn readily every day. Laying out your UVs properly, maximizing, that UV space for a model that you unwrap, painting your textures with a little bit of love and not just using like Quixel Suites ND or DD or things like that to automate the process. Lots of little technical things like that. Personality doesn't really apply to me so much. Yes, it's very important to be a good communicative person and be able to work very well in a group setting. It's absolutely the most important. But if you're a shy person, if you're a scared and timid person, when you get out there in the workforce, crack that eggshell open and learn to become open person to be able to work in these types of environments that you need to work in. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking for somebody who has more quality in their portfolio versus quantity. I want to see 4 or 5 really, really great, technically executed pieces with not very many errors versus a plethora of things that are kind of so-so with good parts and bad parts of that piece. Things like that is kind of what I look for and what I appreciate and what stands out to me.
Awesome. Thanks for answering that. And one follow-up, I guess, all the portfolio advice is less is more quality pieces. But where do you actually draw the line? I remember looking through portfolios at one point, and you sit down, it's like, okay, we need to hire an animator. And so you got to go through these videos, and you're like, man, I'm so busy, but now I've got to watch these videos. And you watch maybe like 20 or 30 videos that the recruiter has brought for you. Man, it just becomes a blur. So... there's the whole less is more thing, and those are animation portfolios, so those are a little bit different. But if you're just doing still images, would you say that like 6 pieces it would be enough? Is that too little?
I don't know. I think six would be fine. I mean, shoot, if you show me 3 that are mind-blowingly professional quality work of a veteran or somebody that's been in the industry for a few years, 4 years, and you're a kid straight out of school with 3 of those quality of pieces, I would definitely throw you in the call this guy. pile. Absolutely.
That was a perfect answer. So, so now you've transitioned to leading teams, and can you talk a little bit about that experience? For me, once it got to leading teams, I still had to do a ton of artwork, but then I was also in Excel, probably like 30% of the day, email another 30% of the day. Yep. There's definitely days when I wish I could just throw on the headphones like the old days and turn off that, one half of my brain and just do my artwork. And you can learn languages while you're doing art because it engages different parts of the brain. And those days were gone once the email and the Excel started happening. Yeah,
that's a great question and a great point that you bring up. And part of that is why I'm working at where I am over at Giant Sparrow. We're a small team that's under the Sony umbrella, so we're still getting funded by Sony Computer America, which is an absolutely wonderful gift to be working for. Yet our team over at Giant Sparrow is only 14. So I have 2 3D artists and 1 concept artist, 1 character artist. And that's it for our team. And with that, I get, I'd say about 25, 30% of my week that it goes through scheduling and meetings and all the crap that nobody wants to do. And then 70% of the time, I'm actually in the trenches with my boys making art and still being able to do it, which is one of the most important things for me. I don't think I'd ever be able to take a position where I don't make any art at all. It's just not me. It's not my nature. I need to keep my skills up. I need to get in the zone, like you said, putting the headphones on and just being able to crank out art. And that's just who I am. That's a part of me, and that's something that'll hopefully never change. Without that, you start falling behind in the world of techniques and the skill sets and all that new stuff that's out there, which is why this little small team that I have is absolutely perfect for me, because I don't have to sacrifice very much art time. I still get to make 70% of my work week making art. And it's great to be the lead, because I've got these guys working for me where I got to play art director. I have to play the lead environment artist. I have to play texture artist. I have to play the lighting artist. I'm doing all the lighting for the game, scene assembly, set decking. You get to do so much more as a lead in a small studio. I'm learning so much more. I'm benefiting for myself and for the project. It's just such a great win-win situation for me and for everybody, because from what I've heard, my team really likes me and they like the feedback that I give and the direction that I push them in, and I have fun with the guys. I'm not somebody that's over scrutinizing them all the time. I'm helping them progress their techniques and helping them move along the path to become a successful senior artist. So far, it's going really, really well.
Nice. Just having read your bio and the projects that you've worked on, your career is almost on this like perfect path that I would, if I had to say like, what's a textbook artist career path look like? Now I know where to refer people to and just say like, this is what the path looks like. There's maybe some left and right steps along the way, but you're still continuing to expand your horizons. So then you're, moving up and now managing teams. Just to wrap up here, what do you think is next for you, or what is exciting that you haven't yet explored that you're maybe foresee in the future, or something that you might be interested in?
Yeah, good question. And I know that it's not going to be the production side of a studio where it's crunching numbers and making schedules and doing that all the time, because it's not something that I love and it's not something that I embrace doing, and it's going to have to stay on the art side. Staying as a lead art director, I'm really, really happy where I am right now, like I said, with the small team, because I do get to still make a lot of art for the game, and I get to help lead the team. And I do got to make schedules and stuff like that, but it's just right now I'm in the sweet spot of it, and I'm just going to relish and embrace this for as long as I can. And after this project, maybe, try to jump onto another small team like this and continue to lead a team as well as help contribute art to the team, because, other those AAA studios, my leads and those guys don't get to make a single ounce of art ever. And that was something that bothered me when I was there, and they never got to make art. And, it was something that I told myself that I would never want to do. I want to continue on the path that I'm at right now.
Nice. All right, well, let's wrap this up. Where can people find you online, Brandon?
I got my personal site, which is blazing3d.com. LinkedIn, Brandon Martynowicz. You can just do the Google on my name, and a bunch of stuff pops up. I encourage anybody, if you want me to check out your portfolio, give you a little quick crit feedback, whatever. I'm always doing it. I do it for all my students that I used to teach. SIGGRAPH student chapter, I did mentorships there, so I love digging in, looking at your work, and giving you feedback. And I'm brutally honest. So if you want to get torn apart, then come find me.
I love it. All right, and we'll have the show notes and everything up for this as well at pencilkings.com/Brandon Martynowicz, and so that's BRANDON-MARTYNOWICZ, or Z if you're from the US. I'm from Canada. So thank you so much, Brandon. I really appreciate you taking the time in the morning, and I think this is a great interview, and there's a lot of really important lessons that people can get, especially those people that have had questions recently that I've talked to, or if I haven't talked to you, and you're wondering how do you transition into a career working in games or film. You can look at Brandon's website, look at his About page, and see some of the stuff that he's worked on, as well as that takeaway of how hard you worked when you were a student. And it doesn't mean that there wasn't time for fun, but there definitely wasn't a lot of time for Facebooking or, at that time, MySpacing. You get your stuff done, and then you start to reap the rewards of it.
Damn straight.
So thank you very much, and that's it for me. I'll see you next week on the Pencil Kings podcast.
Cheers.
Demands patience, skill, years of practice. Ah, you talk like a fool. I would trade a century of practice for an ounce of inspiration.
Why don't you head over to pencilkings.com/free, where we've put together a 30-day course that's going to teach you the ins and outs of drawing the face, along with homework and printable study guides that you can use wherever you are in the world.